Oh, yes! We're back. Another edition, Bigger Talks, IG Live. Chat, and this one today is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be special because, more importantly, you guys, I come on here and I interview people, but this is more going to be like a Q&A, an open discussion. And the guy I have the privilege to bring on is Michael. Michael is an abundance coach. He's also the owner of New Earth Knowledge page. We're going to talk about shadow work, internal transformation, spirituality, 5D consciousness, life, struggles, adversity, and it's a miracle season. By the way, get the app, it's miracle season, and get that full metamorphosis transformation. And tune in, join in, listen to this conversation, and if you have questions, send it in the comment section. So I'm gonna wait for him to get on here, and we gonna get right into it. I'm excited for this one, because my boy is tapped in. And we gonna talk, and we gonna chat. There he is. Yay, there he is.
Eric,
What's up, buddy? How you doing, man?
your energy is contagious, brother.
Man, thank you, man. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being open to this discussion. Thanks for reaching out. Man, I think our journey together has been interesting. I think you reached out to me when you was listening to Elizabeth April's podcast. I don't know what the podcast was about, but I know I was on it. You reached out, genuine, and then we just joined a mastermind together, and I didn't know you were in it. And so the universe just keep aligning us, my friend. So we're here, man. How's your day?
It's a small world, like it really is. You know that. It's crazy. My day's good, man. How are you doing?
For now, I'm excited, man, because I'm ready to get into like this discussion about, internal transformation, shadow work, the consciousness, the planet we live on. And so before we get started, I got a question. What is spirituality to you?
To me, so I think that's different for each individual. I think in general, your ability to connect to your feeling of God, whatever that is for each individual, right? And so for me, I was raised in a religion. I no longer subscribe to that based on where my journey has brought me, right? But for me, spirituality is just a label that we use to describe our ability to tap into our soul. And
Hey,
that's what it's about, right?
that's good right there. The ability to tap into our soul. I love that. So when did this journey start for you? You said you grew up in a religion, but where did it all start for you to just kind of wake up and I think I got a different perspective on religion, spirituality, and just seeing a different lens from my angle?
Yeah, bro. I mean, I want to hear about your journey as well related to that. But I was always interested in like urban legends and mysteries. Those things really captivated me when I was a little kid. I grew up Jewish, and it wasn't like it was pushed upon me. I had a bar mitzvah when I was 13.
Okay.
So I went through that conditioning process in religion, which resonates for some people, which is great. Like you should do what makes you feel good within and what makes you feel right. And it's not that it felt wrong for me. It's just that as I grew and matured into, young adulthood, I started peeking behind the curtain, so to speak, a little bit more. I was in a relationship with a girl at the time who, she grew up in a haunted house, right?
Oh, wow.
So that's where I really started to open my eyes to, the more shifting into like a truth-seeking type of an energy as opposed to just like listening to what others were telling me. And that's when it really got going.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, I think the spiritual realm is such a beautiful realm when you understand it. I think for people who are in a religious aspect, my dad will always say it's not about religion, it's about relationship. And relationship in my eyes is with God, with thyself, right? Like how you feel about your internal self. Because the external, you can look good, it can appear to be great, but you might feel empty inside. And so I think having spiritual currency is the new currency for the universe, because as we can see, everybody has followers, everyone's making money, everyone's a somebody, which is great. But are you really, right?
Right.
where you look on the outside, do you feel it on the inside? So for me as a young child at like the age of between 13 and 15, I
Okay.
just had this epiphany, like, this can't just be life. Like, I come from Baltimore City, tough background, you know,
Yeah.
men in my family sold endless drugs. People were getting murdered and killed in the neighborhood. But that was my norm.
Mm.
But I just knew there was something outside of just selling drugs and playing basketball, right? And I just didn't know what it was. I was just curious. But from there, my mom, my dad, they were spiritual, you know, believed in the Bible, Christianity. And like I said, when I was 15 or 16, I remember I would just pray, bro, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the prayer wasn't like mom, dad, aunt, uncle telling me. It was just like a spirit that was coming over me, like, and I'll be going to bed at night, like, I gotta pray. But it wasn't like, it was like I was moved to pray. And a lot of you, not everything that I prayed for has come to pass in my life. Until this day, I still pray. I still believe in prayer. It's powerful if you understand the frequency of it.
Right.
And I just always been a person of feeling. I can feel energy. I'm an empath. I can see someone and know exactly where they're going through or what they got going on. Subconsciously, it's kind of like weird. When I was young, it was intense because I was in the environment I was in. I didn't know how to articulate that, but now I'm just kind of like, I'm pretty certain, and it's been my anchor really, you know, spiritual currency, and constantly filling it up and learning and growing and being challenged. So you know,
Yeah, and it's like your recognition of that from a young age, of that internal feeling of, hey, this feels right. Something about this type of a prayer and this type of an internal connection. This is truth. This is more true than anything that I have felt up to this point, or that has been shown to me by the world, even my parents. I know for me, like once I discovered this awakening type of a trajectory for my life, it felt completely different than anything I'd ever been privy to before. And my eyes had been open. It felt like to a completely new world. And like you said, you know, sitting in meditation, bro, and being able to connect with your thoughts on a level that you have never had access to prior. It's like once you do that for the first time, all of a sudden, your entire perception and perspective on life is changed almost instantaneously, and then life becomes about um, finding your own connection and your own sense of clarity, right?
yeah, your most authentic self. Because
Right.
the thing is, when you get to that space, that understanding, that inclination, that truth is deeper than human comprehension. It
Yeah.
won't make sense. It's not logical, right? My dad,
Right.
he told me something a few weeks ago. He said, a lot of us have all of the facts and we still don't know the truth, right?
Damn.
Because
Yeah.
facts, you got stats that support the facts. Like, this is statistics saying that you were born at this time on this, but the truth has no logic. What
Mm-hmm.
I feel, us coming together in this, there was no facts to elaborate why we're here. It's just it's a spiritual divine
Mm-hmm.
opportunity for us to connect at a higher realm. And I think we're moved in the world we're living in with so much chaos. I feel like the chaos is forcing or pushing people to get into that internal space, to pick up that shadow self, right? Can we talk about a little bit about the shadow work? Because I believe as a kid, for me, my shadow self, I suppressed, right? My pain, my trauma, all because I didn't understand it. And then when
Mm-hmm.
I allow it to come up and drip in certain ways, I started realizing like, okay, this is my pain point. These are my patterns, but this is okay, right? Like you can have your dark days, or you can have your off days, or you can feel different. It's okay to have anger and fear and all these things I would suppress because it's like, no, I don't want to be that way because I want to appear to look and feel this way. And
Totally.
I start realizing like, no, it's part of yourself. It's your authentic self. So your history and your experience with shadow work, how does that relate to your life, and how has that benefit you in your coaching practice or just life in general?
I think like blame has really been kind of a key theme as I look at the inner work that I've done over the last couple of years. And I mean, I'm not perfect, you know, none among us is. There were things that, especially like I would say in my younger 20s, before I came into consciousness, before I started really consciously embodying this light energy.
Yeah.
Um, that I'm not proud of. You know, like I did things that I look at today and I'm like, how did that even happen? I got a DUI in
Yeah.
2015, right? I still look at that
Yeah.
after having lost one of my best friends in high school to that same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did I ever get to that point where that happened? And so learning to examine that from an objective, you know, standpoint and um, forgiving myself for crossing a line that I never thought that I would.
Yeah.
Just thinking about this yesterday, like we change so much as we grow, as the days, the weeks, and the years go by. And we look back and we're like, man, like I'm just not that person anymore. But we still have to give ourselves grace for the person that we were as we made those what we recognize now as mistakes. And so I think for me, it's just been this continuous process, you know, of recognition, um, you know, acceptance for sure,
Woo.
and just more like observation, man, like learning as we mature and as we become more conscious by examining our life.
Yeah, and I think it's so crucial to understand that and know that because I just started a new book I'm reading, and it's called Taming the Outer Child. And so in the book, you know, we always talk about inner child work. And so the inner child is the younger you, the innocent you, the one who yearns for love, attention, affection, all the emotional self. The outer child is the child that is the actions of those emotions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like you said, yeah, you probably got a DUI,
Yep.
but maybe that was the outer child and you trying to control what you wanted, even though that dealt you knew it was wrong. So it's like we have the inner child, we have the outer child, that's what the book says, and then you have the adult. So the outer child is the person who misbehaves, but he knows he's misbehaving. Like, oh, I just had 2 drinks, then I get 3 more. Or I keep swiping my credit card, right? Knowing you shouldn't do these things.
Mm-hmm.
That's the outer child. So sometimes for most people, the outer child is really in control of their entire life. And
Right.
his actions is coming from what the inner child is lacking.
Right. Right.
So if you say something to me and I feel triggered, I might kind of like play it down and laugh and then give my opinion about something. That's because the outer child also protects you.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of us, we just got to forgive ourselves for things we don't know and we're not aware of because these mistakes are lessons as well as they're blessings. But even for me, like I thought receiving was bad growing up. Like if you try to give me something, I'm like, nah, what you doing? Because I used to think you had one up on me, like you was trying to take advantage of me.
Hmm.
Then I spent most of my life not receiving, and then I would give so much, and then when I was home alone and by myself, I felt empty. Where throughout my day, there's probably 3 to 4, maybe 5 people who try to give me something, a ride to work, a bottle of water, a compliment that I try to give back. Oh, you have really nice energy. Oh, you have nice energy as well. Instead of just saying thank you, right?
Right.
I bottled up all my insecurities and my pain and say, no, don't give me that. And then realize like these people are just being authentic about who I am, but I don't see it because I feel unworthy because my emotional abandonment or my trauma. And so once you know, Robert Greene talks about the shadow work, the dark side, make it your best friend, right? Make it someone that you get to know and understand. Okay, I understand why the blame or the victim mentality or the people pleasing. That's what I was, a people pleaser for so long, where it comes
Yeah.
from. And it's all because you want love, you want affection, you want to be heard, you want to be seen, you want to be felt. And so you used other ways to fill that void, and you have lives. But I think compassion, like you said, grace and forgiveness. But congratulations, brother, on just doing the work. You know, I think we don't acknowledge that enough because we feel like no, we owe this to ourselves. But congratulations, man.
Especially, you know, like man to man, I think like helping to activate other men as well, just to throw this in as an aside, is a responsibility that befalls all of us. And so it's great to connect with you in this space as well.
Yeah, man, because we need each other. Like we can be vulnerable and be masculine and also know we got wounds. We got deep pain
Sure.
that we don't know how to articulate, or maybe most women don't know we have the pain because we never said anything. And
Yeah.
it's deep in the subconscious, it's deep hidden, and we got it tucked away where we can't even get to it. We was like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not gonna let you, I'm not even gonna look at that. But yo, I'm good. What's up? You need something? the
Right.
whole time. He's like, no, I want to help you. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. Well, I'm really not fine.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And your ability to activate, with just your natural energy and shifting from maybe being within your own head a little bit,
Yeah.
your own inner and outer child, like you were just describing, to now maybe being okay with that, but simultaneously like embodying who you really are to then activate 100x, 1000x, a million X other people around you is the most powerful thing we could do.
Yeah. And I think that's my intentions every day I wake up is try to be my most authentic self. And sometimes that most authentic person in that moment doesn't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to smile.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be left alone.
Totally.
Or, people, if I'm not this, people think something's wrong. It's like, no, I'm just zenned out today. And so I had to allow myself to be okay with other people not feeling or being okay if I'm not how they anticipate me to be for their benefit, right?
Right.
Because it would bother me that people would feel different if I was different in their eyes. And I said, why do I feel different that they feel different? Like, this is my normalcy for the moment. I can stand on this. I don't have to present myself so you can feel safe and comfortable. I'm safe with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been a process that's been challenging because when you come from a people pleasing background or place, you want to please everybody. You want to make sure everybody's fulfilled. And then I have to start asking myself, what does Eric want?
Mm-hmm.
What do I want? Do I want to go to this event? Do I want to do this IG live? Do I
Yeah.
want to take this course? No, I don't. Okay, no doesn't hurt. So I tell all my clients that no does not hurt. Save your yeses. They spend your yeses wisely, right? So it's work in progress, but it's fun to kind of get the information and be open to get feedback, even when it's not healthy and good, because you only can learn from it. So I wanted to ask you, so in your line of work, when you take on clients, or when you started getting into the space of coaching people, healers, spiritual people, what like triggered that or what sparked that interest for you to do that and scale it? Like, what was your perspective on it?
Coaching is never something that I had thought about
Yeah,
before, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
yeah,
And I had my first coach at the time reach out to me, and I had no idea what his intentions were, but we ended up hopping on a call and chatting, and my awareness started to become open to all the ways that you could really share your activating presence and insights with other people. And coaching came to the forefront for me, over time as one of those ways that I started exploring and working with a little bit. I think I've always been a coach. I just never knew it.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's good.
and just like I think, to be honest, either you have it or you don't when it comes to
Yeah,
coaching. Like either you have that inherent ability to
yeah,
activate and to transform others and to hold space in the way that is required to truly um, create safety for other people, or you don't. Like it can be nurtured, it can be grown, but I definitely had to grow it. I had to work on it. I'm
yeah,
still working, nowhere near where I want to be, right? But um, I think once you land on what you're here to do, again, like what we were saying at the beginning of this conversation, you'll know it, you'll feel it, you'll feel again like there's nothing that's ever compared to this, right? And,
yeah, absolutely. And it's beautiful because I don't know if you heard of the great philosopher Stuart Wow. Um, he talks about he got to look this guy up. He's so powerful. He said the best healers in the world are the people who don't know they're even healing people. They
yeah,
just walk right past you and they heal you.
yeah,
And then he
exactly.
says like the greatest teachers and the greatest people in the world are people who've been on the dark and light side. Like the people who've done the worst and now live in a more balanced life because they have perspectives from both angles. So then they're able to kind of divide where a person is to kind of help them. And it's wisdom. I think my friend was telling me earlier, it's like the best friends to have are troublemakers, right? Because like when they were young and they was kind of create trouble, they also figured out who everybody was by doing that.
Yeah.
It's like I'm gonna talk stuff to this person. If they say something, I'm gonna swing, right? And then you realize, like, oh, I can't swing on him. He's going to fight back. And then
Right.
they get all this wisdom, not thinking, and then they grow up and they become older. They can give you a better perspective because they've been on that side, opposed to someone who's just like, my dad told me years ago, like, it's cool to be spiritual, but don't live so much in the spiritual realm that you forget to kind of be a part of the flesh, right?
Mm.
And I was like, damn. He's like, don't try to do good deeds. The deed's already done. You don't have to go try and be good.
Mm.
It's already done. And so I had to learn the ebb and flow of just allowing myself to be, to not want to go out and have fun, to, to express my feelings in an authentic way, or just really be free. I say, in order to be me, I must be free. And I think a lot of us, especially with social media, we give out highlight reel or what we want people to see, but people are not putting out what's really going on because they feel like they're going to be judged, right?
Right.
And that's okay until it's not, because then you're not living your best self. Not that you got to give everybody that, but you got to make sure you're connecting to that inner part of you to grow you, and people can feel that when you speak and when they see you on your platform, right?
Exactly.
And so, it's beautiful.
So quick question for you. So obviously, you've made a very deliberate choice to leverage your platform for
Mm-hmm.
this, this higher consciousness,
Yeah.
soulful, activating work. When you look at the journey that you've taken, even from like a geographical perspective, all the way from Baltimore across
Yeah.
the country, like what do you think's been the biggest change that you've seen within yourself as a man over the last several years,
Um,
or in
I
your
think,
business?
I think in general, that's a great question because there's so many things that come to mind. So the first thing that came to mind, I'm gonna be very transparent, was to lick my own wounds, right?
Mm.
To really look at my wounds and not like, because I think I spent a lot of my life like trying to mask my wounds and like, hey guys, look at me, and make people feel like I don't have pain. And then when I
Right.
start looking at my wounds, like, yeah, you hurt. You want love.
Yeah.
You're in pain, right?
Yeah.
Like really, like looking at my wounds, and I think I would say giving myself time because I can lack patience. So I want what I want, and I want it now. And they
Mhm.
said in the book about the outer child, they want what they want, and they want it their way.
Yes.
So for me, allowing myself to grow at a pace that's beneficial for the universe, cosmic timing, not Eric's timing, right?
100%.
Then I'm able to see not only the progress, but the process.
Mm.
Oh, I remember when I used to do this and do that. And oh, interesting. Look at my body language. Look at my eye contact. Look at my energy. Why am I dancing so much? What am I nervous about, right? So just really enduring and enjoying the process, looking at my wounds and being okay with other people not being okay about something I want to do,
Mm-hmm.
and really owning that. And I think that's when my life changed, when I made a decision for Eric and not for the group. What does Eric want? And once I discovered that me being selfish is more selfless than I think, my life changed. But I thought being selfish was being like disingenuous, conceited, whatever, all the negative stuff that comes with that. And actually, for me, it's selfless because I am giving. I give all the time. I don't have to give to prove anything, but I felt that in the past. So now I give that to me so I can benefit, and then everybody can benefit from that frequency, right?
Yes, that's
So,
so powerful, Eric.
yeah.
I wanna make a distinction for everyone listening too. Like, um, I think word choice is really important in how we create our realities. And a word that you just said was actually both selfish and selfless. I
Yeah.
think that by reframing the way we speak about ourselves, this is what I found for me.
Mm-hmm.
um, it makes a world of difference, right? And so I think about sovereignty in the way that I used to think about selfishness. And
Yeah.
so, whereas I used to say, I need to be selfish here, or maybe I feel like I'm being selfish by prioritizing myself, my own wants, needs, and desires over others. Now I think more of it in terms of like sovereignty, like I'm
Yeah.
going to stand sovereign in my own truth. And that
What does that mean? Hold on, before we go into what
yeah,
does that mean? Because that's a great word. I appreciate it. But what does it mean so we can have more context?
bro, it's like detachment from
Okay.
results and
Got
from
it.
the opinions or the needs of others. It's sort of this idea of like putting your own oxygen masks on before you can take care of others.
Amen. Like the airplane.
Yeah.
That's a great, because you're right. Language does depict feeling. Also, I
Yeah.
will add that the meaning we give things, right? Because we can give meaning to words that it might not even have that direct meaning, because how we perceived it, that meaning creates a feeling that might not be true. And selfish is one of those words, selfless. I think I had someone on my podcast months ago named Jenna DeVee. She said, uh, the feminine teaches you how to receive it, and the masculine is more like how to give.
Yeah.
But the way we look at it, like, oh, I'm in my masculine and feminine energy, it can kind of be negative. But it's like, no, feminine is just receiving,
Mhm.
masculine is just giving. I'm like, oh wow. If
Yeah.
I knew that, because I was so much in my masculine energy, I didn't know how to receive,
Mm-hmm.
and all I want to do was give. And it's like, no, bro, you blocking off your blessings. So sovereignty is a great word, and thank you for giving us the definition, because detachment is so crucial, bro.
Mm-hmm.
It's so crucial, because I used to be so attached to outcomes with
Right.
people, with results, that it took me it stumbled my process of getting the outcome, because I was so looking forward to the thing instead of being in the micro space of it, right? The process, and enjoying that and letting the outcome be whatever it's supposed to be for the universe, not for me,
Yes.
right? Because if I'm trying to control every outcome, then I'm not appreciating the income that I'm bringing in, meaning that I'm putting in. I'm not getting up at 5, reading the books, the meditating, mirror work, whatever, to be my best self. I'm not really connecting with that, because I want to know I got to get this because of this, and it's not fulfilling, because then you'll be like, what's next? You know?
100%. 100%. And we have to tie, I think we have to tie any goals, any desires that we have to tie it to helping other people. So like I found if I'm setting purely financial goals, whether I hit or miss those goals, it's like it's fleeting to your point. And so I'm trying to reframe really my whole life around impact, and instead of a certain number per month or per year, it's like how many actual people do I want to bring into my business, for example, that's going to allow me to help the most people. And that is a more lasting, fulfilling type of an outlook, I think.
Yeah, because you're being intentional about the intentions,
Hmm.
and it's providing more value not only for you but for consciousness, right?
Yeah.
Like every day I wake up and I think to myself when I pray, I pray for peace, love, and joy, but for me to add value. Show me ways to add value today. Speak the right words at the right times, on the right things, with the right people, with the right minds. Like this is my prayer, right? Coming through. Because I only want to do what I'm supposed to do. I don't want to do what I'm not supposed to do, because then I'm out of alignment of my soul's mission, right? So if today's the day we're supposed to be on live with you, that's what we're doing, right? Because if I worry about like, oh, how many deals did I bring in today, or how many leads do I get, or how many clients, it's like I'm missing the point.
Exactly.
The point is not a number; it's a feeling, it's a vibration, it's a frequency. How do I push out this energy that is converting people to tap into their energy so they can become miracles, right? Because
Right.
it's bigger than us. It's bigger than us. It's everything we do. We're affecting everybody in the universe, whether we see it or feel it or we don't know it. So you heard me on a podcast. Who would have known we would have been in the same coaching program? What, 6 months, a year later?
Right. Right.
So thank God for opportunity and platforms to share our knowledge and our wisdom. And there was something in you that made you make a decision to reach out. And now we're here. So we're connected. We
Mhm.
always was connected.
Yes.
It's just our vortex was pulling us to come stronger so we can really connect. So it's powerful, man.
Amen.
Got some questions?
I saw a good comment from Ashley. If I'm so focused on the outcome, I cannot focus on the income, and thus I avoid the now.
Mm.
Great point, Ashley. I think what you're really getting at, is, um, how can I create the maximum output and help the most people, while also hitting my goals and not being focused on the outcome in a way
Yeah.
that's distracting me from being able to do that, right? Eric, any thoughts?
Yeah. So the first thing that came to mind was surrender.
Yeah.
Surrender. Let go. Let go of attaching to anything. Because here's the thing, right? Our best times in life happen when we're not thinking about it, right? Like I remember for me, my best basketball games was when I wasn't thinking about what I was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm about to shoot the. I just shot the ball. I don't know if you saw Goodwill Hunting with Robin Williams and I think it's Matt Damon. And
Yep.
the girl was asking him at Harvard. She was like, "How you so good at? How do you play?" He was like, "I just play." Right? Meaning that he's not putting no attachment to how he plays. He just is. It's like love. I'm just showing up this way, and whatever comes from this process, I'm happy with that. But if I say, when I come this way, it has to be this, then I'm not getting the best out of it. It's like even with dating. Like you go on dating sites, and already the connotation of a dating site has a frequency on it, right? So you think everybody you meet, you're supposed to date, or you're supposed to hook up with, or you're supposed to, instead of saying like, hold on, this is a person who has a life. Let's see who this person is instead of saying, oh, can we date? Are you my one? It takes us out of building rapport, right? And so the same like in sales, it's like if everybody I come to, I gotta sell to them before I know them, then I'm never gonna be able to have them convert into my world because I'm coming from that perspective. So I would tell her, Ashley, thanks for commenting. I think just not be attached to no outcome. The only outcome is the income you put in. It's the work.
Yeah.
Showing up. That's the only thing you should worry about if you show up every day. And if you show up, God willing, for sure the results are gonna show. So it's simple, it's just not easy because we're programmed to see tangible things to make our inner feel confident enough to know like, oh, I did this. Some wins are intangible.
Yeah, and like one thing I would add on the back of that too is like, figure out how you can create leverage in your life or in your business. And there's different ways you can create leverage, but what it really comes down to is your ability to scale your value. And the more people you're able to help, easier, right, for you and more efficiently for you, but on as large of a scale as possible. And that could be audience, right? Eric has cultivated a platform with a large audience that allows him to have leverage in the amount of people that he can connect with and his total addressable market, right? I'm bringing this down to earth, really more from a marketing perspective for a second,
Yeah.
but like that's going to help you to expedite, what you're able to do. And it could be audience, it could be systems, it could be teams, right? But start thinking smarter, not just with your business, but with your life as well.
Yeah, I like that tagline. That's just something to go in someone's bio. I help people scale their value.
Exactly.
Cause
Yeah, that's huge.
yeah, cause bro, that's so good. Cause here's the thing, on this platform that I'm speaking from, all of my followers and people come from so many different genres of work backgrounds. But the reason I'm able to do this is because I'm mastering myself. I'm not mastering a profession. If you know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just motivating them. I'm doing other stuff. I'm allowing my entirety of who I am show up in whatever way the universe wants me to show. So if I'm supposed to do TV, I'll do TV. If I'm supposed to do a podcast, I do a podcast. If I'm supposed to talk life, I'm gonna talk life. I'm supposed to, do the like. I'm not putting myself in a box where it's like, I always tell basketball players, I'm the former ball player. I played at the college level, and I'm like, anybody that plays a profession for a long time, they have an identity crisis because what you do is not who you are, right? That basketball goes away, the job goes away, that relationship goes away. God forbid you don't get divorced. Now who are you?
Mm-hmm.
And so my number one thing with all my clients and just people in general, get to the root of who are you. That's where the real value going to come from, because then you can really scale, because now you're giving people not just the motivation, you're giving people the vulnerability. Like, yo, look, I went through this, but it looked like I come from this, right?
Right.
And then you're able to add more value because now you can relate more than just one way. So it's, helping people scale their value, bro. I don't know where that came from. I think you got to take that.
I'm using that tagline as soon as we
You
go.
have to. I've never heard it. I'm like, how do you help a person scale their value? Like, that's smart. But yeah, you down to make money anyway. Okay. Yeah. So when it comes to when it comes to like growth, right, and spiritual awakening, uh, what do you think is happening in the universe at large? I think you shared something in the DM yesterday about shadow work. I'll get to that soon, but at large in the world, what do you think is happening to everybody and what's really going on from your deep perspective?
So I would say for people that aren't familiar with my page, like just take a look through that. Some of the things you may resonate with, some you may not. Um, like my goal is to kind of paint the picture of what I feel and what I see based on what I've read and learned and researched, over the last 3 years. I think there's so many different initiatives and things that are happening, like not just on a planetary level, but on a galactic level and universal level that we're just not privy to, unless you're able to tap into that frequency and start to extract that data, right? And so, I think one of those things is what's happening on the planet right now is kind of reflective of what's happening throughout the galaxy, which is there's just a big mix up right now, based on this larger project. From what I've learned is that like negativity is being cleansed systematically throughout our galaxy right now, which is being reflected on this planet as what feels like upheaval, craziness, and chaos, right? And that's what we see on this level of consciousness because that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
So if you don't have the perspective of that expanded view, then all you see is the COVID and the restrictions and the mandates and the vaccines and all of this stuff. You see school shootings and just so much negativity, and it's like, why? The world is going to shit. So I think from that perspective, it's hard to argue that point. But if you're open to looking at things right from a different lenses, um, and to say before something can be realigned and cleansed and brought to love, it first has to purge all of the negativity. I think that's what we're seeing right now happen on the planet.
Yeah, because that brings up another question I've been trying to figure out for the last 3 years. Because I've been doing a lot of research on just successful people. I mean, I've been doing it most of my life, but this question in particular, and I talked to a close family member about it.
Yeah.
He's pretty successful in his own way. And, even some of my clients, their pain points and stuff they've been through in life has been like, if you see them, you would never know, right? So my question to you is like, why is it, or maybe it's not a why, but why is it that, or maybe that's how I see it. Why is it that for a person to be not extremely successful, but have success and have some type of gain financially, materially, or just outwardly, right? Or just in general, why is it that one has to go through some type of pain or chaos or a setback or just from my research, I've been seeing a pattern that people who are great or who appear to be great, they went through great struggles and adversity. I'm like, why is it like that? Or they have to sacrifice time, money, energy to get like, what do you think? Like, I'm curious to know. Maybe it's no answer, but I've been thinking about that a lot.
Wow, dude, that's such a great question.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it also crosses over to the spiritual side as well. It's like before we decide to take this incarnation on this planet, what types of agreements, what types of themes do we want to, explore once we're inside of the body, once we're born? Again, like that's my perspective, but I believe that more mature souls take on harder incarnations. And I think the reason that we choose a lot of these preordained, um, what feel like disadvantageous circumstances from the outside is to allow ourselves to feel the full spectrum of human emotion and experience. And so, again, to the soul, what may feel hard and traumatic for us, I believe may feel more like expansion and growth from that perspective. But it allows us to then have that two-way feedback loop with the soul through which we can then heal and communicate and gain wisdom. And that's really what it comes down to, is like the more you endure and the more of that expanse of human emotion that you can feel, like the better you're going to be able to, number one, overcome that and help other people do the same, but just become a more well-rounded individual.
Got it. So it's like you have to experience, and this goes back to what you said, language, pain, right? Because pain can be traumatizing for some and triggering, or maybe you have to experience some type of challenge or hardship, or adversity to get to the other side of your perspective for your soul to kind of
Right.
live out purpose, right?
Exactly.
Because on my journey, I had to go through, like you said, a mature soul has to go through. I believe I'm an old soul. I've been here before for sure.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things internally that I get downloads on, or I get information that comes. I'm like, why am I getting this information? If I tell people this, they would not even believe me. They were like, this is wow, this is crazy. But then as I grow older, I'm like, oh, it's important that I have this information for where I'm going and what's about to happen. It's kind of like a foreshadow. But we might see it as like, man, this is so bad. Or like I had to tell a friend 2 years ago, he lost his dad in COVID. And he was, he was low, and I was like, listen, I get how you feeling, you're in your grieving space, but just know it's perspective in the pain you're enduring right now. That perspective, that wisdom you're gaining is going to be able to not only grow you and build your character, you're going to be able to help someone else that's in a similar situation. So sometimes the bad is not really bad and the good is not really good. you know, like the good is like really bad and the bad is somewhat good. It's like, it's weird to say, but it's sometimes the opposite, but people don't know. And I think that's why TV, mass media, social media, commercials is so enticing to the flesh, because that entity or those people, they don't have the information on what's on the other side of that. And
Right.
then when you get on the other side of that, whether it be money, fame, fortune, women, dating, whatever, you get to see like, this ain't it. But if you don't have the perspective, you can't really, it's like I can't really tell some person they shouldn't be chasing something they haven't caught,
Right.
because they got to learn their own way. So it's very, you got to live your life and figure out what you're here to do, like you said earlier. I think it's important.
Yeah, and like more often than not, you know this. I mean, perspective doesn't come until ye- years later, much of the time, right? Like with the things that we go through, whether the highs of the highs or the lows of the lows, sometimes it takes the contrast of that experience or just time to do its work
Yeah.
for you to be able to actually appreciate and really gain like a visceral appreciation for what you experienced and the way that it helped to shape you. And you're right, nothing's really good or bad, even though it seems like it in the moment. But with time, it's almost like a memory. You
Yeah.
know, you can recall that it happened, but with time, you know, it kind of becomes evened out, and you just have this appreciation.
Yeah, and then I always say, I get this from Tony Robbins. I don't have no, what did he say? I don't have no expectation. I have appreciation, right?
Yeah.
Because that concept for me, reframing, right? I used
Yes.
to put so much expectation on people or things to be the way I would be, or think the way I would think, or communicate the way I would communicate. And then that would leave so much disappointment.
Me
And
too.
better saying, like, you know what? I appreciate this person. I appreciate this moment, even this challenge, even this setback or hardship, because it allowed me to learn something. It allowed me to discern what am I supposed to be going through in this moment, and not really come from a place of expectation, because then I'm looking for something instead of becoming something, right? I always say it's not what we get out of life, it's what we become. And I think this is why the human experience is so important. We try to avoid doing and being because we're afraid to become. And if you just let yourself go and say, listen, you're going to go through some things, but eventually you're going to become something better than before. It's beautiful. And that's what my experience been like. Things I was afraid of, I didn't know anything about. I just jumped in, and I let the universe just adjust me as I adjusted. And things always work in your favor when you have appreciation.
Yes. I love it.
You know. So do you got anything that you working on, or any projects coming out, or anything you working on, or how people can reach you, or I don't know if you do any readings, or
Heads down right now in my coaching business. We were touching on it earlier.
yeah,
Really continuing to innovate and iterate on that, thinking about more high leverage, applications of my skills and my value. Like you mentioned, Eric and I are in the same mastermind program right now. So
yeah,
working on elevating and growing through that experience, and then yeah, just working really to continue to build and share and create cool content that I hope people like.
yeah. Well, they're gonna like, because you like it. Someone told me that. Someone told me that it's like, if you like it, they like it. And if they don't like it, it's not for them.
Then they're not your tribe, right?
Right. So I've been big on Gary Vee lately, and
Yeah.
his perspective is so like, they was asking, a parent was asking like, do you think I should keep my kids off of social media? You think it's smart? He's like, no, I think that's like a really dumb idea. And he said, look, I got a 13-year-old daughter, and we want to find ways to make our kids feel cool or fit in. But just to know, social media is the new world we're living in. And you got to learn how to exist on it. Like, that's their future. So if they're 10, 12, 13, 14, and you're keeping them away from it, like, I respect it, because I can't tell you how to parent your child. But it's also, this is their life. So at some point, they're either going to sneak on it or they're going to want to be on it. So you just got to find your leverage. And then he was telling another young lady, he's like, so what? Just post. What are you afraid of? Being judged?
Right.
You know, what do you, and he's like, he's like, I'm 23. He's like, you got time. What are you in a rush for? And he's like, if we learn to have a better relationship with time, we'll have a better relationship with ourselves. And that's how I take that approach. Like, cause sometimes, to be honest, like, it's hard, bro. It's hard, at least from my view, to put something out and not try to look at what it did, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you intentional about like, oh, this is one of my favorite videos. Boom, let me see. And then sometimes it don't be what you think. I put a video like last week. It didn't get that many views, but one person dropped a comment. I'm like, it touched someone. And so I'm learning how to get in the space of not being attached to that, right? And just like just putting it out. Like, just put it out. Because then I get caught up in, when's the best time to post, right? Like, you hear that, hashtags. You become so practical and so literal. And now I'm just like, you know what? Do your thing, push it out, and just let the universe work. That's it.
And like, we have to learn to own social media for us, or we will be owned by it. And right, all of the things that come with that, the comparison, the recognition, the validation for what we're trying to do. And I also think we have to pull ourselves out of that and just say, from like a larger life perspective, like, what am I trying to create right now? Like, what is the point of having this platform in the first place? Okay, then that allows me to go more narrow and actually look at the format and the content and say, like, what's the best way for me to communicate, what it is that I want to share? Like, is it reels? Is it posts? Is it going live? Like, those, to me, those things are the little things, and you don't ever want to become attached to the days. You want to start to look at your life from a month's and from a year's and a decade's perspective, right?
Yeah. That was a guy said on the podcast. He was like, yeah, just give yourself a 5-year, 10-year goal instead of being so day to day, because you live from, if I'm 34 and I'm looking at it from when I'm gonna be at 35 and say like, oh, what do I look like at 44, right? How do I get there? How do I scale that?
Right.
It's not only give you more ground room to kind of work, but it allow you to take that energy that you're using on a time and to put it into the work. And like you said, man, I think it's so valuable to understand, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? I tell people every day, I say, what's funny about social media? That, quotes, positivity, motivation is all taking precedent, right? I've been doing it since before anything I've done publicly, and I've always been doing content. So when I was in the gym probably 3 months ago, I sat myself down and I was thinking, like, if money didn't matter, if nothing around me mattered, what would I do every day? I would work out. I would try to eat the best. I would do recovery things. I would research information. I would read books. And I said, man, one thing I've learned is motivation and fitness has never failed me. It's always been my wife, right? TV has come into my life as a mistress, right? But I'm like, motivation and fitness has been my life. I'm going to do that until I can't.
Right.
So why would I detour from something that I would naturally do without any money or any exchange? And then it's like, I was telling my boy the other day, it's like, get on the phone and talking about motivation. I love that, right? That's my passion. So to go back to what you said, people could just find out what they really enjoy, what they really love, and build that relationship and just put that out.
Yes.
You'll feel more good about even when it don't do good, because it was something that was connected to your soul. and not your mind, right? So it's just a privilege that we have. That's another thing I wanted to share was that, you know, we're all a privilege, man. We have privilege. And I think it's everybody's duty to share whatever your privilege is. You know, my privilege doesn't have to look like your privilege, but we can still share it, right?
100%.
And I think if people just focus on what they have that's already good, that's natural, and give that, the world will change. Because it's something you're gifted at that you don't have to think about. So, yeah, man, this has been fun. I appreciate your time, your authenticity. Before we leave, is there anything else anybody want to ask? Anything else you want to add or share? I'm all for it. This was a great discussion on a lot of things.
Yeah, for sure. I love what Eric was just alluding to, really, which for me is just gratitude, like daily gratitude. Um, you have so much to be thankful for. Literally every single thing around me, deserves thank because it's here and it's contributing to your own awareness and to your ability to be alive in whatever
Yeah.
capacity that is for you. Like,
Mhm.
there's just so much to be grateful for, and it's important that we share that and then that we create from that place. Just want to.
Yeah. And I want to ask a question on that, and it might sound odd. It might be a rhetorical question, but I know one of my struggles in life has been asking for help, right? And so I remember one year my boy was like, "E, why don't you just ask for help?" And I told him, I said, to be honest, I don't know how to ask for help, right?
Mm,
And he's like, "What you mean?" I was like, "It sounds common, right? You just ask for help." I was like, "I don't know how to because I'm not conditioned to ask for help, right?" And so I say that to say, how does a person have gratitude? How does one have gratitude? What does that look like? How can you have, of course, you be thankful, but how do you be thankful? Because I think a lot of times when we're giving, even for me, when I'm giving people things, it's like, but how do I do that? You know,
right.
you say, wake up at 5 a.m. and take a cold shower. How do I do that? Give me the process. So from your world, how does one become grateful and have gratitude? What do you think the first start is or
I think
thought?
that I think there's like three. So there's three emotions that I'm always aiming to hit, and anything that allows me to tap into those, I believe, is worth being grateful and thankful for. And so those things are fulfillment, purposefulness, and self-actualization. So if I can feel like any of those emotions or any mixture of those are happening for me, then whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm looking at, whatever I'm consuming, that is able to contribute to that, I think deserves gratefulness. And it becomes natural. I think it becomes inherent when you, again, are working in your passion. Like when you're focused, for you, Eric, when you're focused on fitness, and on motivating people, like that is inherently what you're here to do, right? And so it's easy to feel thankful and grateful for those things, and then you know, all of the spokes around that hub that are
Yeah,
connected.
you know, it's so funny you say that because I just lit up because I had a flashback earlier today. I was in a park, I was grounding, I was walking, and I was putting out a post on one of my pages, and I was laying in the grass, like barefooted, but I was in the grass and I was looking at my body and looking at my leg. I'm like, damn, I'm so thankful to be in a body where I'm healthy and I can work out. You know,
Right.
and so I tell people gratitude for me is like thanking my body, thank
Yeah.
you legs, thank you arms. Like during recovery, like I did cryo yesterday and I did the beamer and all these things that increase and enhance the recovery in me, right? And
Yeah.
so that's part of showing gratitude is giving back to what gives to you. And I put a video out today talking about our body is going to endure whatever we give it. So
Mhm.
we got to treat it like a parent would treat a child. How do you groom it? How do you grow it? So how do you treat your body? Do you give it the right supplements, the right energy, the right attention? Some of us don't because we never knew how to. But if we change
Mhm.
our perspective and give gratitude to the body, right? Gratitude,
Yeah.
start treating the body different. I think it goes, you just answered my question. When we have that fulfillment, that purposefulness, what was the last word? And you said fulfillment,
Actualize. And
actualization.
yeah.
Um, then you know you hit the point and you just activated that gratitude muscle. So
100.
maybe for some of you on here listening, maybe there's three things you can find. Like for me, it's like nature, right? Water, and my energy. Like None that I have energy in my body, in my senses. Like I can see, I can smell, I can hear, I can talk.
Yeah.
It's like I should be grateful.
Right.
But it's a beautiful message because gratitude is free,
Yep.
and we don't spend enough time with it.
Exactly.
But it gives us opportunity to give it to spend time with it every day. We just it's kind of like the guy you overlook and you don't put him on your team because you don't really know him that well. And then you get to sit him down and you talk to him. You're like, this guy's actually good. It's like, yeah, gratitude is good, people. So give it some attention. It'll help your life.
Gratitude is a free, renewable resource that will continue to give, right? And you can tap into it every single day.
The gift of giving. But yeah, man, this was great. Like I said, once again, thank you for your time. I think somebody had a question and we can answer this.
Yes.
I know you mentioned our outer self, but do you have a book or podcast recommendation for nurturing our inner child? I can send some, but I think she asked another question. I wanted to know your point of view.
Yeah.
How would you guys navigate giving or receiving advice without taking it personal? What would you say to that?
So, Brina, that is such a great question. You have to take the focus off of yourself, your feelings, and step out of ego entirely. This is why coaching work is so powerful, because when it can be done devoid of ego, it becomes about improvement. It becomes about recognition of opportunity, and then it becomes about creating a plan for results. And that's all that matters. And if you can come out of your ego and detach from how it makes you feel, or pulling out your weaknesses and shining a spotlight on them, like that might hurt. It might not feel fun, but you have to know the shifts that you're going to be able to create and how that's going to catalyze you before you go into that space. You have to accept that and then say, all right, it's worth doing that for the overall benefit that's going to come out of it.
Amen. Take that ego out of it.
Yes.
Because feedback is motivation, good or bad. Because you always allow yourself to learn. Because if you take it personal, then you're taking yourself out of what you're trying to get to, and sometimes we're lacking information or we have blind spots that we can't see. And yeah.
It's like, I'm not better than anyone. No one's better than me.
Right.
It's like, what type of a activity or engagement do you want to enter into to activate yourself, right?
Yeah. Right. Well said. Yeah, so Mike, this will be up. I'll share this on my page, and then once I put it up on the podcast, I'll share it with you. But thank you for your energy, your information, your vibration, your perspective. It's much needed. Keep winning, keep learning, keep giving, keep living. And let's continue to connect, brother, and let's continue to build rapport. I appreciate you reaching out. And just thank you for being a light in this universe, man. We need more light workers to be working at light,
Much respect for you, Eric. Thank you so much, bro.
Man, have a phenomenal day. Talk soon. Peace and love.
Right.
Bye. There it is, people. That was a good interview. Follow him. He's on, I believe it's new_earth_knowledge. He also has a page called abundance.coach. His name is Michael. Powerful guy, very genuine and authentic. Thank you guys for being here. It's miracle season. Don't forget to get the app, download it now, and get some more miracles in your life. Mind, body, spirit. Peace, love, and gratitude. I'm out.